Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello everybody. This is Mr. Hamada on behalf of Ar-Ruad International Schools and the English Department. I'd like to welcome you all to this lesson. Literature: The Invention of Everything Else by Samantha Hunt. Novel excerpt. Unit 5. What do you remember about Nikola Tesla? Do you remember some of his inventions? How was his life like? Was he happy? How did his life end? Why did he think that his inventions were stolen by other inventors? How did he achieve his inventions? Did he have to work hard? Let's talk generally. Are inventions realized through inspiration or perspiration? What do you mean by inspiration? We mean ideas. And what do you mean by perspiration? Hard work. So do you think inventions require inspiration or perspiration or both? The question is to you. By the end of this video, you should be able to answer the essential question. You should be also able to identify the meaning of 3 words. You should be able to answer the comprehension check questions, and you should be able to identify the difference between this novel excerpt and the previous selection that we studied about Nikola Tesla. In what way are these 2 selections similar, and how are they different? We will also talk about some figurative speech or some figurative language. You need also to identify the difference between denotation and connotation. Let's get started. This is a novel excerpt, means it's not a novel, it's a part of that novel written by Samantha Hunt. What do we know about this author? We'll find out. Let's start with a summary.
From The Invention of Everything Else, Samantha Hunt. This excerpt from Samantha Hunt's novel, The Invention of Everything Else, is an interior monologue in which an aged Nikola Tesla reflects bitterly on his life as an inventor.
So in this part, Samantha Hunt is imagining an interior monologue. When a person talks to himself loudly or even silently, that is considered an interior monologue. Mono means one, log, speaking, so person speaking to himself, in which an aged person, an old person called Nikola Tesla, you definitely know about this person, reflects bitterly with sadness on his life as an inventor.
86. He lives in a hotel in New York City, lonely and impoverished, and interacts with the pigeons that congregate on his window ledge, feeding them and tending to their injuries. Tesla recalls one of his earliest inventions at age 7, a motor powered by maybugs.
The author, I mean Samantha Hunt, is imagining Nikola Tesla at the age of 86, living in a hotel in New York City, lonely, impoverished, poor, having no money, interacting with pigeons, birds, that congregate on his window ledge, feeding them and tending to their injuries. Why do you think he ignored and isolated himself from the people and he started dealing with pigeons? Based on your experience, what was the reason? Tesla recalls one of his earliest inventions at the age of 7. That's an imaginary invention. What was it? It was a motor powered by maybugs. Believe it or not, which was eaten by a local bully. He thinks angrily about Guglielmo Marconi. Who is he? Let's see.
Who he believes stole his patent for wireless transmission that became the radio. The reader is offered a glimpse into the mind of a brilliant inventor who has been largely forgotten by the world and has little to show for his life's work.
So according to this selection and the author Samantha Hunt, Nikola Tesla believes that Marconi stole his patent invention for wireless transmission that became the radio. The reader is offered a glimpse into the mind of a brilliant inventor who has been largely forgotten by the world and has little to show for his life's work. Please have your book, My Perspectives, open to page 494 and think of these three words: deficiencies, triumph, and revolutionized. Visit the selection and find the meaning of these words. Use strategies to help you, like trying to find context clue around this word, or using the sentence to help you figure out the meaning. I also want you, while listening, to try to find the answer to these questions. Where does Tesla live now? And in what country did he originally live? The other question, what does Tesla use the ledge outside his window for? These questions are on page 504. Question 3, for what reason is Tesla angry with Marconi? And question 4, what question does Tesla try to outrun or answer? And then the summary. Confirm your understanding of the text by writing a short summary. So, I want you to start focusing on these questions while listening to the story. What about the fast read? You need to follow this fast read graphic organizer. You need to notice, annotate, connect, and respond. What do you need to notice? Whom the story is about, what happens, where and when it happens, and why those involved react the way they do. And what do you have to annotate? You need to mark vocabulary and key passages you want to revisit. What symbols will we use? I will tell you in a moment. What about connecting? You connect what you learn in this selection to what you already know about Nikola Tesla. And finally, you're going to respond by completing the comprehension check questions by writing a brief summary of the selection. This is on page 494. Now, what about these vocabulary words? Deficiencies, triumph, revolutionized. What do they mean? Deficiencies means
Deficiencies. Noun. Lackings. Missing essentials.
So deficiencies means lackings or missing essentials. Important things missing. For example, iPhone 6s Plus has some deficiencies. It doesn't have IR. What about the next word? Triumph.
Triumph. Noun. Victory. Success.
It's a noun that means victory or success. The next word?
Revolutionized. Verb. Drastically changed. Improved.
So revolutionized is a verb which means drastically changed or improved. So revolutionized is a verb, and the word triumph is a noun, and of course there is another synonym for triumph which is win, and the difference between win and triumph is that the word triumph has a stronger connotation, stronger meaning, but win is neutral. While listening, also you need to use these symbols to mark your ideas. You put stars next to key ideas, put an exclamation mark next to expressions you love and you want to use them in your language, put a question next to the area where you have a question, circle the unfamiliar or important words, and put dashes under context clues. After the fast read, your text should look like this. It should have stars, questions, circles, and so on. Then, in the fast read guide, you need to fill in the questions that we talked about. Now let's talk about the difference between denotation and connotation. As I told you before, the word's denotation is its dictionary meaning. Synonyms have nearly identical denotations. A word's connotation is the idea or emotion associated with the word. For example, as I told you before, that words like triumph and the word win are synonyms, but triumph has a more positive, stronger connotation than win, which is neutral. Now I want you to identify words from the selection that relate to the concept of invention. Make a spidergram and find words that are related to inventions. In this selection also we need to learn about the comparative and superlative forms of adjectives and adverbs, since we are comparing two selections, Nikola Tesla, the greatest inventor of all, and the invention of everything else. Positive, comparative, and superlative here. The positive degree of an adjective is used when you are talking about one item, but the comparative, for example, Tesla was a great inventor, but the comparative is when you compare two items or two ideas or two things together. For example, some people believe that Tesla was a greater invention than Edison. So greater here is comparative invention, is comparative adjective. Superlative is used when there are three or more things that you need to compare between them. For example, Tesla's invention was the greatest. We've got also here some irregular adjectives. For example, bad and badly. Bad is adjective, badly is an adverb. The comparative form is worse. He is worse than me. And the superlative is worst. He is the worst. Good and well. Good is an adjective, well is an adverb. The comparative form of both of them is better. She is better than her sister, and he is the best. Many and much. Both of them are adjectives. The comparative form is more. I have many. I have many mobiles. I have more than him. Much water and more. And the superlative is most. The last word in the irregular list here is little, small, amount of. Little, which means a small amount of. The comparative form of little is less. I have little water, he has less water than me, and she has the least. Guys, we use er or more to form comparative, taller or more beautiful. For example, taller, sooner, more inventive, and more quietly. And we use est and most to form the superlative degree. For example, sharpest, fastest, most colorful, and most creatively. In this selection also we've tackled some types of figurative language. For example, personification. What is personification? Personification is a comparison in which a non-human subject is given a human characteristic. For example, the storm said something muffled. As I told you, the storm doesn't speak, but in this example here, the authors used personification. The second type of figurative language used in this selection is the simile. What is it? It's when you're comparing two unlike things using the word like or as. So the most important thing that you use like and as to compare two things. For example, she had to come because the hotel where I live is like the sticky tongue of a frog jutting out high above Manhattan, collecting the city particle by wandering particle. So we've got here the word like and as. Like and as. The third and final figurative language here is the use of metaphor. The use of metaphor. What is a metaphor? It's when you're comparing two unlike things by saying that one of them is the other one. For example, years ago, power lines would have stretched across the block in a mad cobweb, a net. Another example is that if I say like Ahmed is a lion, in this sentence here, Ahmed is not real lion, but this is a metaphor. But if I say Ahmed is like a lion, that is a simile. Before I end the lesson, I want you to have a look at the questions that we talked about. Where does Tesla live? The answer is Tesla lives in the hotel in New York City. And in what country did he originally live? He originally lived in what became later Yugoslavia. And question number 2, it says, what does Tesla use? What does Tesla use the ledge outside his house for, or his window for? The answer is he used it for healing and treating old and injured pigeons. Question number 3, for what reason is Tesla angry with Marconi? The answer is Marconi stole his invention of the radio and has gained fame as a result. Question number 4, what question does Tesla try to outrun? The answer was, the question is why Marconi progressed more quickly than Tesla in communicating across the ocean. And here we come to the end of this lesson. If you have any questions, use Google or contact me. Assalamu alaikum.